Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, moni maliwanji, namaste, jambo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We're so delighted and so very honored that you're joining us in our mission to help families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to subscribe to the show in the iHeartRadio app, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, wherever you find your podcast. We have two fantastic guests today. First, joining us from Long Island, Talia Madden will be here to celebrate the colors they shared. And later on in the show, we'll be going to Istanbul and Turkey to speak to Gulistan Yildiz Mentes. Before we invite Talia into the studio, we want to invite you to connect with us on social media. Facebook.com/readingwithyourkids, @readingwithyourkids on Instagram. And our Instagram account is booming. It's @JedleyMagic on Twitter. We have a great Reading With Your Kids page on Pinterest. And believe it or not, we're going to be on TikTok. I'm not sure when. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing. Hopefully it's not dancing, but we'll be there soon, and we'll let you know how to connect with us on TikTok. Oh, and of course, please do visit our website, readingwithyourkids.com. You can use the contact button at the top of the page to let us know we're doing well. Let us know what we can do be doing better, and also let us know who you think we should have on the podcast. Joining us right now from Long Island in the state of New York. Our guest today is here to celebrate a beautiful picture book. It's called The Colors They Shared. Please welcome to the show, Talia Madden. Hey, Talia, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. I'm so excited to be here today. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited to have you on. I'm really excited to learn all about The Colors They Shared. Tell us about this book, please.
So this is a book. It's about 6 friends, and they want to paint a treehouse. And this is a school treehouse, and they run into a little issue. They have to get approval from the principal. And ultimately, the principal says, hey, you guys have to work together, pick a color. And you know what? We all have favorite colors, and this is a problem they run into. So how do they come up with a solution? That's the main idea.
What inspired you to put a treehouse in the school?
So, it's not so much what inspired me to put the treehouse in the school. I can get there, but just in general, what inspired me here is I'm a mother. I have 2 kids, and bedtime. Bedtime is always, we're telling the story, and my kids want more, and I'm getting creative with it. And the next thing I know, I'm thinking about a treehouse. The people behind me, they have a treehouse. My daughter's obsessed with it. I'm very scared she's going to ask for one because I don't necessarily want to build that. And I just thought to myself, like, wouldn't it be fun as a kid to get to be the creator of a treehouse? It was definitely something I thought they were so much fun when I was a kid. And I like being creative. And I thought, I wonder how I would either paint one or build one or create one.
So a lot of parents out there tell stories to their kids at bedtime. It's a really fun thing to do. We encourage families to do that. Just be imaginative, tell stories, create stories together. But not every parent then takes those stories and becomes a children's author. What was it that was different that gave you that extra push?
For one, my daughter kept requesting it. And I've told her a lot of stories that she wishes to never hear again, but this one in particular stuck with her. And part of my storyline was that I kept including names of the kids she's in class with. And a friend overheard me telling my daughter this at bedtime one night. And she's like, I'm not trying to eavesdrop, but you have that written down? Is that your story? And she's in early education. And I said to her, honestly, I hadn't thought about writing it down. I love writing. And she said, you should. And I decided to, one day I went to a coffee shop and I brought a little notebook and I started storyboarding ideas. And the next thing I know, it became this book.
Really neat. Now, as I understand it, you had a dream about being an author, but you weren't able to make that dream come true initially because of some medical issues.
Yes. So I was diagnosed with lupus when I was 16 years old. And at that time, I was taking a lot of creative writing courses, and writing was a passion of mine. It was something I wanted to do. Now, with lupus and this time in my life, and I know this sounds wild, but I said to myself at 16, I need a job that could guarantee me health insurance because of the medical bills. And I pursued education. And so I am a teacher, and it is the greatest joy of my life. I genuinely love my profession. I continued to take some creative writing classes throughout college, but I never did anything with it. It just became a hobby. And so this means, just on such a deeper level, I came back to it and I created something. And these dreams that we abandon for whatever reason, it doesn't matter. One day you can do it. And for me, it's just this major achievement for myself.
Yeah. Well, in a lot of ways, through this interview and through your work, you're telling 16-year-old kids all over the world that they can make their dream come true.
I think even adults, we get to a point in our life where we don't recognize, we think, oh, I'm in my profession. I've been teaching for 12 years. And is it possible that I say, this is great, I have my career, I'm set? Well, what if you do wake up one day and you decide that there's something else that you can do too that will bring you joy? So it's never too late.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You mentioned that you're a teacher for 12 years. In that time, what kind of evidence have you seen that just reinforces the idea that reading with our kids is so very helpful and beneficial?
Well, I could speak to not only being a parent and being a teacher, but reading with our kids is so valuable and so important because we bring these concepts to life. So the concepts that my story brings to life are friendship, creativity, and the big one for me was compromise. And we're taking something that sounds really simple at face value. Friends wanting to paint a treehouse need to choose a color. That is so simple, but the meaning behind it is a little more complex. The meaning behind this book to me is the colors that we choose. If you say to me, what's your favorite color? And I say, my favorite color is blue. I can give you my list of reasons why. Are those not the ideas that we cling on to and we hold on to? And now I ask you what your favorite color is. So I'll ask you, what's your favorite color?
Would just happen to be blue.
It's blue too? Why
Yes.
do you love blue?
Well, because I have beautiful blue eyes, I'm told.
So we talk about these things, and now all of a sudden you and I are asked to compromise. And lucky for us, we both like blue, so we make a beautiful blue treehouse. But that's not so easy. And so what if we're forced to make a compromise now regarding things that are bigger than the color of a treehouse? Mm-hmm. How do we come to a solution? And so, yes, it's about painting a treehouse, but what else is it about? Mm-hmm. And so something that we take seriously in the school that I work in, and I'll give my boss a little bit of a shout out if he listens to this, but it's about making our students solutionaries. And so how do we empower kids? And to me, this book is about empowerment of our children. I've worked, like I say, I'm a teacher, 12 years. When we empower students, the concepts, the ideas that they come up with often are more out of the box and creative that as adults, we are even thinking of or that we can imagine. And so when I have challenging conversations with my students, the point that they're able to get to in those conversations, it just speaks to their ability to think creatively and to find solutions and to be the solutionaries. And so I wanted to empower kids as well.
Yeah, that's neat. So what's the first step in a kid becoming a solutionary?
Identifying a problem.
Okay.
So step one, you see something, and it might be a problem that, it's a local problem. It's something that you're not necessarily on a grand scale thinking about, but you bring it up. I have a student recently who identified, a problem regarding accommodations in a school setting. And I asked them, I go, okay, so what do you want to do about it? And they created this beautiful long-term solution. I go, what can you do about it now? And how can I then empower that person to go and take the action?
That's really neat. I've been involved in a number of different podcasts. One of them was a STEM-focused podcast where we talked with astronauts and engineers and scientists, people making these incredible discoveries and building these amazing pieces of technology. And that is the one thing that they have all said, that the first step in getting to that solution is identifying the problem, really sitting down and discovering what needs to be fixed here.
Yes, that is what we have to do. And so for me, this is social issues that exist.
Yeah.
And in this case, for the kids in the book, it might just seem like the simple treehouse, but when you're a child, the things you care about are enormous. So they're a microcosm of those issues, right? Like for them, this treehouse, this task that they're setting out to paint, that's an enormous thing for them. And so now they're taking the reins and they're going and seeking out the school principal, and they're saying to the school principal, we want to do this. And now they're navigating, okay, we can only choose one color. Well, we all have different opinions on what color to use. So how do we solve that as a problem?
Yeah. How do we help our kids get from the I want, this is what I want kind of mode to the point where they're willing to sit down and compromise and come up with a creative solution?
Yeah, I don't think that it's always the easiest thing for any of us. And I think one way to do that is by, you mentioned the power in reading to our kids. When we start putting ideas like this, that compromise is possible, into their minds, it makes it possible. If we tell them, no, this is the way it is, and it becomes very, it's called the colors they shared, it becomes very black and white on issues, then that becomes more closed off, and it doesn't allow those natural conversations to occur. So if I tell you my favorite color is blue because it makes me happy and it reminds me of this beautiful summer day, and I think it's going to bring happiness to the students in our school, and you're like, oh, blue, that color's the worst, you're not listening to me. So we need to also learn how to listen to each other.
Yeah. That's a really difficult thing for a lot of adults to do.
I wrote this book for children. It's a children's book. But to me, it's a message to all of us. And I think that's what I've always loved about children's books, is that they're never just for children, are they? No. And there's always these underlying messages. So for me, the underlying message as an adult, if I'm reading this to my own child, when I go into work the next day and I'm tasked with something and I have to work with others, we all know that that's not always easy. So how do I do that? Now get bigger. If it's issues in whether it's our nation, how can we work together? And so it's really symbolic of the need to come up with creative solutions to difficult tasks. And sometimes, no matter how principled we are, we do need to listen to each other.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, that is something that we're not doing here in this nation. And I really hope that we start doing it, because one of the things that I've discovered is when I finally sit down and listen to somebody that I think is the polar opposite of me, I quickly discover that, wow, we really have much more in common than we have apart.
Yes. And I didn't mention it. I keep saying I'm a teacher, but I'm a history teacher. So I think that that shed some light maybe on my thought process and what inspired this.
I'm curious, what do you think history teachers in the year 2035 might be saying about this time in our history?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. It is a very, very interesting time to be a history teacher. I will tell you that it is memorable, and I truly feel like I am living in what will be in the history textbooks. This will not be these will not be forgotten years in the textbook.
I know people are going to want to know where they can go to find out more about the colors they shared and find out more about Talia Madden.
So you can currently purchase The Colors They Shared on Amazon, and you could just search the name, The Colors They Shared, or my name, Talia Madden. I also have my website, taliamadden.com, and I have social media platforms where I do share a lot of information and what's going on with the book at this moment.
Awesome. Well, we've had a great time speaking with the author of The Colors They Shared, and we've also been talking about making kids solutionaries. And we've been talking with Talia Madden. Talia, thanks so much for being with us. From Long Island to Istanbul, Turkey, we are headed over to speak to Gulistan Yildiz Mentes. Joining us right now from not too far away from Istanbul in Turkey. Our guest today is here to celebrate one of her beautiful picture books. It's called The Helpful Deer. Please welcome to the show, Gulistan Yildiz Mentes. Hey, my friend, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I hope you're well too.
We are well. We are blessed. Life is beautiful, especially when we're talking about all the fun we can have reading books with our kids. Tell us about The Helpful Deer, please.
Sure. The Helpful Deer is my sixth picture book. The Helpful Deer, how did I create this book and why did I create this book? Because I am a mother and I've got two kids and they inspire me all the way through. And I care about children in the world, not just in Turkey. So I've been writing books and editing books in English for a long time, for over 15 years. But then I decided to just create a collection of children's books, focusing on positive outlook, like helping children to develop a sense of positive attitude, like I try to focus on problem solving, friendship, family ties, and all these valuable life lessons I want to include in my book. So the Helpful Deer, yes, is the character is a white-tailed deer helping his bison friend who is injured. And I think this is just like when kids read a book, they need some good guidance. And I believe that The Helpful Deer has a meaning in it. So just like my 5 picture books, I wanted to focus on these values in my book.
Yeah. It's interesting and wonderful that authors from all over the world are writing for many of the same reasons. We want to help kids develop this understanding that they are wonderful and beautiful and that they can do wonderful things in the world.
That's very true, and I think I don't know. From my point of view, I want to write more books. I create books to make the world a better place for children because they're our future, and I want to contribute. Maybe one tiny contribution or step will count in the future. I don't know. So that's why I'm trying my best to just connect to children all around the world. I hope I can touch their hearts through my books. So that's my mission.
Yeah. I one of the things I don't think we talked about it a lot when my kids were on my lap and we were reading picture books together many, many years ago. But I think it would be really cool for families to just kind of talk about not only reading books that feature diverse characters that take kids to different places around the world, but also introducing kids to books that are written by authors from all over the world, letting them not only see pictures of themselves and of others, but letting them hear the voice of authors from around the world. Because while we share a lot of the same values, we have different perspectives on life.
Absolutely. And I'm one of them, of course. I want children really to get to know me through my books and what am I trying to do for them. And parents, yes, I will be very happy when they focus on the point you have just made. Because when we read a book, we maybe sometimes we miss this point. We omit this and we don't focus on that part.
Yeah. You mentioned that you've written 6 picture books. Can you just tell us the titles of those books?
Sure. The Gold-Hearted Tiger is my first picture book. And it was just like I created a bedtime story for my kids, and then I decided to turn it into a book. Then I realized that really kids need some good books with lots of good messages. So I wanted to write my second picture book titled The Friendly Tamari, and the third one is The Jolly Toucan. The fourth one, The Wise Snowy Owl. The fifth one is The Curious Woodpecker, and The Helpful Deer is the sixth one. But yeah, I used some cute animal characters in my book to create my stories, because kids love animals talking. So I hope that all of my books are useful, and I hope they enjoy when they read my books. So.
Yeah. Boy, we have lots of curious woodpeckers around our property here in Boston.
Oh, really?
We do, and they're wonderful. And it's, we talk about encouraging our kids to go out and enjoy nature and connect with nature. That's one of the things I love to do, is just be outside. We live next to a bird sanctuary, and so we have all these different birds in our property, and the woodpeckers.
How lucky you are.
Yes, we are very lucky. Hey, you mentioned that you also wrote a book for kids who are a little bit older. What's the name of the title of that book, please?
It's Will You Be My Pet? It was published a couple of weeks ago. And the story behind this book is quite different, because my son, one day, he came back from school with a snail in a plastic container. And I realized that really some wild animals, they need to roam in their natural environments. And I tried to explain to my son that this snail, I'm sure that you can look after this snail, but it belongs to its own natural environment. And then it sparked my imagination, and I wanted to just write a book about wild animals, pets, and street animals. So my chapter book, Will You Be My Pet, covers 3 points. Wild animals, they keep a balance of our planet, so they're very important and they deserve our respect. And the second point, pets aren't our toys, so they have certain rights, and kids really need to know that. Mm-hmm. So the third point, street animals can carry diseases, so children mustn't touch them. And they need our guidance as well. So these 3 points, I think, are quite effective in my book. I hope when children read my book, then they can benefit from it. So.
Yeah. It sounds like families can have lots of really fun conversations about that book too.
I'm sure they will. I believe they will.
Gulistan, where can people go to find out more about you and find out more about your books?
My books are on Amazon. They're available on ebook and paperback formats. So they can simply visit Amazon and get my books from there. They can also follow me on my Instagram account. So it's Gulistan Yildiz Mentes official. So that's my address. So they can also follow me on Facebook as well.
Awesome. We've had a wonderful time speaking with the author of The Helpful Deer, Gulistan Yildiz Mentes. My friend, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much and for having me here. Have a great time. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
Please be sure to join us for the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Alora Lovelight. Alora is a nationally and internationally recognized recording artist. She's here to talk about a movement she started. It's called the You Matter movement. And it certainly matters to us. If you're going to join us, we really want you to. That's the next episode of the podcast. Hey, real quick, if you're the author of a great children's book, please do yourself a favor. Visit our website, readingwithyourkids.com. Click on the author's Click Here button at the top of the page. Scroll on down to learn all about how you can be a guest on the podcast. Have a long-form conversation about your book, about your inspiration, about your hopes as an author. You can also submit your book to our Certified Great Read program, and if our panel believes that your book is worthy of 4 or 5 out of 5 stars, it becomes a Certified Great Read, and with that status comes so many fantastic promotional tools that will let families know that your book is worthy of their consideration. And also, you want to check out our monthly promotion program. We'll celebrate your book on the podcast with commercials, messages to our 75,000 plus social media followers, and display your book on our nationwide network of digital pedestrian billboards. You can learn all about that by going to our website, readingwithyourkids.com, click on the author's Click Here button, and scroll on down to the various services. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Chris, I want to start by thanking our guest, Talia Madden. Please be sure to check out the colors they shared and learn how you can help kids become solutionaries. Also want to thank Gulistan Yildiz Mentes. Please be sure to check out her book, The Helpful Deer. I want to thank my team, Alejandra Doherty, Fatima Khan, Rory Grady, Skylar Strauss. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.